Well, howdy, and welcome back to TwoSun Tuesday. And today I'm taking a look at another new one. And the model number probably doesn't sound like it's new, as this is the TS146. However, this is quite new. This is a NightMorning design. With you can see this in the titanium there. That's something that NightMorning has also done on the TS49. But yeah, this is a button lock here. We have a straight back knife with, the belly comes way out towards the tip there for this particular guy. This is in D2. It's stonewashed. And yes, this is titanium, and this is micarta. And this micarta is not their standard funky burlap looking kind of stuff. I think this is supposed to be green or olive drab sort of stuff, but this has a lot more texture. Obviously, the thread count's a lot higher as well. This really feels to me like a canvas micarta, which is fairly popular for a lot of companies to make micarta out of, and it works really well. This stuff is very nice and comfortable, much grippier than a lot of their other micarta is. It's as far as I'm concerned, it's a definite step up. It's enjoyable. However, at least on mine in particular, the fit and finish on it, married to the titanium, is a little less than stellar, and I don't necessarily know if this was mine or if this is just kind of how this is. I'm leaning towards this is just how it is because it happens on both of these scales here, but you can feel basically at the edges of the titanium there that, and it happens on the top here to a lesser extent. You can certainly feel that transition. It's not perfectly flush there. And feeling basically at the top and the bottom here, that's also just a little bit proud as well. So I guess the fit and finish on it, maybe not the absolute best. I don't know if it's them getting used to working with this particular micarta, or if it was purposely done that way. I do kind of assume that at least it being a little bit thicker was probably part of NightMorning's design there, but I don't necessarily know if the fitment on these corners here was purposeful or not. But yes, this is button lock, like a couple others that he has done recently, that being the 313 and the 338. This one, however, even though this is coming out later, doesn't use multi-row bearings, just a single row in this one in particular. It's still free swinging like a mug, so that's definitely good. Very smooth action on this thing. And we have a little bit of a, well, I wouldn't even call that a fuller, just a channel or something like that on there. Pretty easy for a thumb roll. And I can, but probably not on camera, yeah, because of just the angle and everything. But you can spidey flick this thing pretty easily as well. But it's obviously, designed to just use that centrifugal force to just swing that guy out a little bit. Something that I do have to mention on this one in particular, this thing had a snaggletooth like no other. The blade was not quite flush with the top of the titanium, but very, very close. I had to take off quite a bit of steel to make that safe for me to carry around and not worry about cutting myself or anything like that. And unfortunately, in this particular case, that's a knife design problem and not an under-sharpening kind of thing like I've seen on some others. And the reason I can tell that is basically now that I have removed a couple of, sharpened up a little bit and then re-put the blade on there, this thing is really thick behind the edge compared to when I first got it. And it thins out basically up here at the curve. So I can easily feel a very large difference between those two. which to me basically means that it wasn't that this thing was under-sharpened at the factory. It was just, yeah, didn't really pay attention to that whole thing. But hey, NightMorning has done that before in the past, unfortunately. Something to note that I am happy about, because this has basically a top and a bottom bolster here. The pocket clip on this one, fully mounted into titanium, not into the micarta. So this stuff won't end up getting chewed up over time. This is nice and rock solid. And the clip works out pretty well. Has a decent wrap, not crazy pointy there. Goes in and out of the pocket really easily. And we have the little standard lanyard hole going on the back spacer there, so you don't have a funky looking hole in there. I do appreciate that. You probably see that you know, the pivot screw on this one is basically like a large flathead. Obviously that's a design choice, and the rest of the hardware on here is T8. I think all of it's T8. Yeah, even the micarta anchors are T8 on this thing, so there's definitely that. So this one, I do also want to cover something that I have run into with some other TwoSun button locks. Well, at least one other button lock, and that is you have, if you do put a significant amount of force on the top of this and then let go, you can feel the blade move just a little tiny bit. You can probably see that. And looking at it with the lock there and everything, I can see I'm absolutely nowhere near actually having the thing come anywhere near loose on me. So that's not really a concern I have at all. This probably isn't a knife that you want to do a whole bunch of spine whacking on, but generally, I don't end up liking to do a lot of that stuff anyway, because that's just shows how well you can misuse a knife, which, yeah, certainly there's companies out there that specialize in knives that you can do a little bit more for that, like cold steel. But, you know, if you use your knife for basically what it's designed for, then doing those spine whacking tests really isn't something that's going to give you real world kind of feedback on that. So I generally don't end up doing that. But the other knife that I have experienced that with, let's see. He's in a drawer over here. Here we are. It's the TS303, which is another button lock from TwoSun here. This one's in M390, designed by Mazwan Mokhtar. But it does have that same kind of rock going on with that. This one is just a little tiny bit more noticeable, I think, than this 146 that we're looking at here. But yeah, did want to end up mentioning that at least. Like I said and kind of demonstrated, this really doesn't have any reflectivity on the lock end up failing on you or anything like that. These things are still nice and rock solid and sturdy. But yeah, I guess some people will probably liken that a little bit to like blade rock or something like that for a liner or a frame lock. But yeah, just figured I would mention that. I'm not worried about the locks having any problems or failing, but hey, I'm here to cover everything that I see. So there you go. The comfort on this thing is pretty good. For my larger hands, if I'm just trying to grip all the way through here in that kind of hammer grip, I do feel just a little bit cramped, but it does have a very nice forward finger choil here that, unless you have, unless your index finger is 4 inches or longer, you're probably not going to end up doing anything to that button lock, whether or not you're choked up and obviously not when you're further back. So, you know, at least that's a good button placement there. They do keep them flush, or as I've seen on quite a few, they'll have like a little crater up to the button lock, which is a little bit different than a lot of other companies that recess them a little bit. But that being said, because of the way that they're placed, again, I don't really have a problem with it. Yeah, so I'll stop talking there for a second just because I lost my train of thought. But hey, that happens from time to time. The stone washing on this guy is quite nice. And it's something that I'm still looking to achieve myself. But I do think that the way that I would end up getting to here is that I would need to sandblast or bead blast a knife blade before I ended up doing the tumbling, so I can get rid of the previous finish on there altogether. And well, that requires a chamber and some things and stuff, and I don't really want to just make a ghetto one out of a large Sterilite container or something like that. So that hasn't happened yet, but eventually I will get there. But in the meantime, I do appreciate having a nice stone wash like this from the factory. This does have a little kind of mark basically on both sides here. That was, I do believe that was my fault. Yeah. As you can see, basically when it's closed, not even really making full contact with that. So yeah, that was definitely my fault. Probably having to do with when I was putting the edge back on this after I pulled the edge back a little bit. So you probably won't have that on yours in particular, but hey, I've done it to mine. All right. Well, for all those people who were kind of interested in this guy here, I will take care of just a couple of things here at the end, and then we will do a disassembly. So, but yeah, I should go over some specs and everything like that as we pull this guy out and combine it with some other knives here. It's definitely smaller than the rat number 1. Pretty similar to the PM2 here. Let's see, here's Benchmade 940, which seems to be about the same length. And there we are with the Kalashnikov 74. Since this isn't a large knife, well, I can do it. Why not? We'll do the Spyderco Endura that, yes, obviously it's larger in both handle and blade length. So let's go on to some specs here, since I didn't cover that earlier on. We have 3.8 millimeter blade stock thickness, and that probably has to do a little bit with why they have some of these snaggletooth kind of things going on here. Whereas you see a lot of other companies like, I don't know, well, this is Sencut, but Civivi, basically. And they use 3 millimeter blade stocks. So even if their blades are a little bit closer up, they're less dangerous to you than these guys that have a wider gap. But yeah, 3.8 millimeter blade stock. Not a lightweight knife. It's over 5 ounces, 5.11 ounces, or 144.5 grams. And yeah, that does definitely seem heavy for the fact that this is a 3 1/4 inch blade. And the handle thickness on here is 0.64 of an inch, so quite a bit thicker than a PM2 that's right around 0.5. Because of that, though, you do definitely feel a little more comfortable in the hands than something that would be a little flatter. Not quite to the degree that it feels like a nice fixed blade with a nice molded handle, but you know, you have a significant amount to be able to grip onto there. Alrighty, so those are all of the specs and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, as I was saying, if you basically came here for the review, kind of taking a look at it, then hey, I appreciate you all for stopping by. I'm going to disassemble this thing, so if you want to see basically what the inside of this looks like, stay tuned. If not, appreciate you for stopping by. So here we are. I'm going to go ahead and take the T8 here to the pocket clip. And I'm going to shove that Chicago screw in a little bit so I can actually get the clip off. There we are. And then I need to change my bit over here to a flathead. This thing will use pretty much any flathead you got available. I should have poked that through. And yeah, all the way. Okay. So here we are on the inside. We can see the stop pin when it's open. Very, very thick. Kind of important for knives like these in which you're actually using your own force to bring it out so it can regulate that. You got your spring here for your button lock. Then we can pull all of this stuff out. Here's the stop pin for when it's closed, which isn't quite as thick, but I mean, unless you're really trying to slam that knife down, it's not going to affect you. It is fully skeletonized with the micarta here on the outside. I don't know if the holes on either of these sides here was from an earlier prototype that just kind of kept itself in the design, or what for those guys, or if it's planned to be used on another knife that does have kind of internal screws underneath it or something like that. I don't know, but they're there. So, like I said, single row bearings. We got the bearing races for them as well. And yeah, we have just the standard little plunge lock going on here. These things are just a little bit more fidgety to put back together than a lot of other knives. Not super difficult, but yeah, it is something that you do have to kind of keep in mind there. So, all right, we got that D-shaped pivot. We're going to put that way, so it's facing over there, of course. And then how about if I actually get the bearings in there? That would certainly help. All right, let me grab the other side of that stop pin. Man, these things are really girthy. All right, there it is. That back, and I'll put that on top. Get that guy on top of that, and then pretty darn easy to just go ahead and go up top. You just want to make sure that that spring gets into the catch on the inside of the handle there. It will find itself in case you're just kind of sloppily doing it, and you kind of can on this one because the D-shaped pivot actually interfaces with the show side rather than the clip side. So here we are with the last screw. And of course I'm going to fumble around with it. All right, let's see. Yeah, this is just a little tiny bit too tight. Oh yeah, and nicely centered. So yeah, a lot of fun. I do like this thing quite a bit. I don't have too many problems with it, other than this took a really, really long time to resharpen once I finally took that blade down. I really do hope that NightMorning ends up seeing probably, you know, me and a whole bunch of the other people kind of complaining about that, and try to incorporate that into his design so that I won't have to do any of these modifications or complain about it in the future. But that's how it is, so yeah. All right, well, once again, that's the TS146 in D2 steel from NightMorning Design. And yeah, as always, I appreciate y'all for watching, and have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, yo.